Good morning, everybody. Welcome once again to BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. It is good to be back in studio. Matthew, back home after a 2-week jaunt on the road. It's good to have you back. A ton of stuff to talk about. We've got stats. We've got reports. We've got rumors. We've got all kinds of stuff today, dude.
Yeah, it was crazy. I don't even know where we're going to start. Of all the shows we maybe should have had a pre-production meeting for, this might have been it, because I see 1, 2, 3, 4. I see 4 different reports. I've got stuff written on a, what is this? On the planner. Oh, you ripped some pages out of your planner, and I took them out of the trash can and wrote my notes on that, and then you've got the legal pad there.
I got a stack of yellow pads back in the office.
And I am just trying. I'm hanging on by a thread, Mark. I'm trying to keep my life together.
Your list is long.
I was in studio for 1 day 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
But we go back all the way to the Sabine River, then Kurt Dove's Pro Bass Camp. Then I moved. Then I went to the Mississippi River. Then I got 2 days in at Mille Lacs with Gene Gilliland in between the events, and then had the this last one on Oahe.
Yeah.
And then drove all night, and then it was the 4th of July, and now I'm back in studio. So it feels like it's been forever.
Well, you got a few days to hopefully get your life back in order here over the weekend. All right, a ton to talk about. First of all, I do want to mention the feedback and the response on our latest documentary, Matthew, the 20 Feet Deep documentary, has been incredible. I am very, very thankful, very appreciative for all of the comments that have came in, even on the instant feedback right now. Matt in North Carolina is already mentioning it. It was a very interesting documentary to do. It was there was a lot of work spent on it, and I actually got a text back from Robert on Tuesday.
In case you haven't heard about it somehow or seen it, it's called Dancing with the Devil, the Life of Bob. Follows the events following, kind of before and following, the 1992 Bassmaster Classic champion and his struggle with addiction. So you can go over to the Basszone website, basszone.com. It's a big banner on the top. It says, there's a picture of your mug there and Robert Hamilton, to just click on that and you can watch it. It's about an hour and 20 minutes. You want to kind of carve out some time to watch it. It's not something that you can just watch bits and pieces of, I think.
You got to watch the whole thing.
You got to watch the whole thing.
But the feedback that I've received, Matt, from a lot of people is they say once they start watching it, they can't stop. It just keeps going. Here's the other thing. I have had a few suggestions from people to put that on iTunes, the audio version of it, to where
and we did that with the Chatterbait. I think that would be a good idea.
So I'm going to do that today.
It would transfer well to iTunes.
It really would.
A lot of interview in there.
The only thing that wouldn't transfer would be some of the text that shows up, like when I went to Nashville, and then some of the other text. Can
you go back in and voice over a section and make
I'm going to work on that today.
Don't they do certain? I mean, don't they have documentaries on the radio?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think you could definitely.
So I'll try and do that. But I wanted to say thank you to everybody for all the feedback. In roughly 24 hours after I put it out on YouTube, there was an enormous amount of views. Our subscription base has increased because I think a lot of people are talking about this documentary, and a lot of people are finding us for the first time on YouTube since our YouTube channel is so young.
Bass Talk Live.
Bass Talk Live on
Are the
YouTube.
other documentaries on YouTube as well, or is that something that you're going to go back and...
I think there's a couple out there.
On YouTube, you can actually make categories so you can like click on. We
I
need
did
to
that.
Go back and organize. Yeah, so we
that.
should put all the 20 feet deep section.
Yeah, there's actually a 20 feet deep section on there that I put this one on.
Okay, that's got to be
YouTube.
Within the past month that I've been gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
I put that out there like that.
Boy, Izzy is going nuts. She hasn't been locked in the second part of the studio for a while. She's used to having the run of the whole studio.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you watch or listen, she likes to jump up on the table during the shows, and she's crying.
All right. The other thing is the prize packs, they are going out today. I've got everything together. I didn't have an opportunity to do it over the weekend. There was stuff taking place, and I just didn't get an opportunity. So I went to the post office. The boxes are sitting right over there. They're going to be filled out, signed, sealed, delivered, whatever you want to call it. They will be shipped today, so those are going out. All right.
What the heck did you do during the weekend?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing.
What do you mean, you just hung out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, with her?
No, with you.
Oh.
In your life.
Did you not see what was out in the yard as you drove up?
No.
I worked my ass off.
What's out there?
Flower beds, the yard, trimming. Did you see the pile of bushes and trees that are waiting to be picked up when you drove into the driveway?
Would you pay someone $25
No, I did
to
it
work
myself.
3 days on it?
I did it myself, man. I did it all myself this time. You didn't see the big pile of leaves and trees and stuff?
I'm not.
Wow.
I'll check it out when I leave.
All right, a ton to talk about. Let's jump right in. What do you want to start? You want to start with FLW or
Oh,
Bass?
hell yeah, I want to start with FLW.
I kind of thought you were going to do that.
FLW, unfortunately, we had talked about this and talked about it and talked about it. Was he scheduling on top of each other? And unfortunately, Lake St. Clair fell right on top of Lake Oahe.
Okay, hang on one second. We're going to talk FLW, but I want to mention this. For the first time, history was made on Saturday. Do you know what that was?
Yes, I do, but I'll go ahead and let you. I'll let you.
Did I brought that up to you and Dave when we were talking on the phone on Saturday. For the first time in history,
talking about this
folks,
past Saturday.
This past Saturday, for the first time, you had 3 things taking place in the professional bass fishing world that were all going on at the same time.
For the first time.
You had FLW Live, you had Bass Live, and you had the MLF Championship being broadcast on CBS at the same time. It's never happened before. So what is your choice? And I thought about this. I was like, okay, the vast majority of people are going to DVR the Major League Fishing event.
Right.
Agree?
Right.
All right. And then I'll give it up to FLW. They are simul-streaming on YouTube just like what we do. And it shows how many people are watching and everything. So I really think that people went the split screen route and were watching both. But, Matthew, the feedback that I got from people that I spoke with and some emails that I got is people were watching FLW. Let me back up a minute. They were enjoying FLW more because of the craziness that was taking place from a fish catching standpoint compared to what was going on in South Dakota, because South Dakota, it was in, it was out. They had major challenges with the cell signal there. A lot of dead time.
Of Bass off the record, Mark.
Off the record.
Bass spent a little bit of extra money to get what they got from Lake Oahe.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
That they had some big-time issues as far as... I mean, there was 0 cell phone service once you got about 8 miles from the ranch.
Yeah.
So to have anything, a reliable source told me that they opened up the pocketbook so you could enjoy a little bit of Bass Live.
Had to. That's the only option.
Weekend.
That's the only option they had.
Anyway, continue.
Anyway, the feedback is people were just totally entrenched in the situation that was taking place on St. Clair.
That's you?
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
I was making sure it wasn't anyone from
No.
Bass or FLW. So here's what I did. I'm not going to lie to you. So
Okay, so do you agree with that? First time in history?
I was at Lake Oahe. I was covering that tournament. As this craziness starts to unfold, which obviously we're talking about the 97 pounds, 8 ounces of smallmouth that Chad Grigsby weighed in and did not win by much.
No.
I actually won $5. I made a $5 bet with an Elite Series angler that it would take over 85 pounds to win this tournament before the tournament started. And he was willing to go 100 on it. And I said, nah, I'll go 5. Well, God, I could have won a lot of money. Anyway, I stopped watching Bass Live, and I just watched FLW Live.
It was unreal.
And I said, dude, are you watching this? And especially the last day, the FLW Live with Grigsby when he picks up that spy bait.
Yeah.
And nonchalantly leaning on the butt seat, catching fish, seeing him going, I'll catch them, describing what's going on and then hooking it. And it was mesmerizing. And I also like how FLW does the 1-hour segments, and as soon as it's done, bam, it's out on their Facebook page. It's available for viewing. You can go back and watch it. You could share it.
They're rocking it,
I call a bunch of buddies. I said, did you see what's going on? No. Dude, go check this out. They go back. They rewatched it. I watched some of the segments when I was working on some Elite Series stuff. Though I went back and watched the FLW. Newell and Travis had it dialed in. They had a great signal considering they're in... How much do you think that cost them to live stream from Canada? Remember when the Elite Series was there last year? If they were in Canada, they were, quote, out of range.
Yeah.
But this was the tour finale. And a ton of stuff went down. But just from that, yes, I agree. It was crazy weekend.
Yeah. FLW Live, they hit it out of the park, man.
Right.
They really did. It was lights out, and the people that I spoke with thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, the challenges, as you mentioned, that Bass had to go through, you have to think, all right, that there is a key balance there, Matthew, that they're going to have to start evaluating when they are booking these events. Self-service, location, check that they're going to ride.
Listen, Mark, I was there. I was out on the water. I was around that facility. If they can get it done at Lake Oahe and provide a decent product for the viewers, which they did, they can go anywhere. They could go to the moon, because that is what Lake Oahe feels like when you're out on the water. I mean, it says no service. I mean, where they were, there's nothing there, and they were able to get the live. Now, granted, it wasn't as smooth, or all the anglers that they like to. Sometimes they had to go down a little bit in the standings, but if they were able to get it done there, they can get it done in any lake in America.
It's going to cost them money.
Cost them money, but they can get it done.
Yes, absolutely. So, and then you had MLF, and we're going to get back to FLW. And the one thing that I noticed, and I did DVR it for you so we can go back and watch it and everything.
Because I've only watched one episode on CBS.
It is fish catch, 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 fish catch.
Well, that's kind of their motto, isn't it?
Fish catch, fish catch.
Action.
It should be called Major League Catching, because that's what they do. Fish catch, fish catch, fish catch. Another fish catch. Oh, and by the way,
but there's some big
they
ones
show
this
a bunch
week,
of fish catches.
There's some big ones caught in the. It's not one pounders all the time. There's some bigger ones sprinkled in. I mean, it's not Brent Ehrler on a drop shot.
I'm telling you, man,
it
is a feast of fish catching.
That's what you W at Lake St. Clair.
It reminded me of Buffalo.
The first time they went up to. Yeah, but it was. Live when Elias set the record. This was the first time since Live has come onto the scene that it has been an absolute slugfest, and people have seen it. So, all right, let's start with FLW. We good with that?
Let's go.
You start with your first thing for FLW. We'll just trade, because I've got a lot more than you. So
you got a ton. I just want to point out there had been some discussion about Mark Rose winning Angler of the Year. I do want to make sure that everybody understands what took place on day one.
Yeah, I got that 100% dialed in.
Yeah, I did. Joe actually called me at FLW because we had to talk about some other things.
Talked with him too.
And he let me know what happened, folks. If you were watching the weigh-in live.
On day one.
Mark Rose weighed in, what was it, 17.4?
It was 17.4.
And he went off stage and he was like, whoa, wait a minute, that's not right. And what happened is the person that was keying in, where they key in, 5 alive, 5 dead, 3 alive, 2, whatever it is. It was either he or she, I don't know who it was. Somebody keyed in 5 that were expired.
Expired fish, right. It said 5.5 instead of 5.0.
Right.
So they did not have to reweigh his fish. They didn't have to find him or anything. He had 5 fish that were alive.
Yes.
There was no reweighing. There was no monkeying with the weights. It was they were going through the standings and someone said, Mark Rose had 5 alive fish, and here it shows 5 dead. I don't even know if Mark Rose realized it, but I know that they had discussions on FLW.
From what I understand, he did not realize that is what the issue was. He just realized something was wrong.
He thought that he had more weight than 17.4.
Yeah, because think about how close.
Right. So
if
you add 4 ounces to 5 fish, that gives him 18.8. Because I know I was looking at the standings after the first day. I was like, well, where is he? Where'd he go? And then it said he had 18.8. So cleared that up 100%. So but had he had 5 expired fish, Brian Thrift wins the Angler of the Year.
Yeah. So there was a lot of attention placed on how tight everybody was at St. Clair.
Right. Yeah.
Ounces, every
and
single
there was
ounce.
Crazy stuff that happened to multiple anglers in this tournament.
So I just wanted to make sure everybody, if you saw that and were watching it, why did it show 18 plus for Mark Rose on day one? That is the explanation for that. And then I'll get to my next one after you roll off some stats.
Okay. Well, I just, off the top of the head, and the Elite Series guys were talking about this too at Oahe. We were talking, I'm going to come out with a story about this next week. This is the greatest smallmouth tournament in the history of professional bass fishing.
I agree. The only one that compares to it is Buffalo.
Right.
The first time.
And I would throw Kevin Van Dam's wire-to-wire victory on the St. Lawrence River last year up there, too, because there was 25, 26-pound bags.
Right.
But as far as that's concerned, this Chad Grigsby is the smallmouth king in the professional bass fishing. There's not been a better, nor you really can't get any better. The only thing that would have been, and this is being very nitpicky, Mark, is if he had hit the triple digits. If he had hit the 100-pound mark. I mean, he had 97. I don't know how I would. The only thing that I'm hesitant about is how many of those fish are still swimming upright. Because
Really?
you're talking hot temperatures. I talked to like 5 anglers, and 2 of them said, dude, they were so far post-spawn. A lot of these fish that we were catching, they looked like tigers when you caught them. They were super healthy. I weighed in a later flight. They had ice there. They took everything they take care of. I'm 100% sure all my fish are swimming still. Great job. Then I talked to other anglers. He said, some of those shallow fish were pretty fresh post-spawn. It got pretty darn hot there on a couple of the days. The guys next to me had an expired fish or 2. I had an expired fish, and I don't know how many of them made it.
Well, they do everything they can, though.
No, I
mean,
know
it's
that's
not
what they
like
were
they
saying.
Don't do
But I'm just saying
bad
this
job.
time of the year with St. Clair with that heat there. But not to take anything away. So that was mine. It was the 97-8 greatest smallmouth tournament in the history of competitive bass fishing.
I agree.
Now, we can't take the 2-day tournaments and the Canadian Opens and all that up there in the
from
Bay,
a pro tour standpoint.
where they weigh in 35-pound bags and stuff. Yeah, you can say, they've had 2 days, 70 pounds wins it. But from a tour standpoint, greatest. Okay, your next one.
Oh, I got to bring this up, dude. Who was your FLW tour?
Angler of the year was Scott Martin, who I picked at the beginning of the year.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. All right, because I totally bombed on that one because I had Andy Morgan. Who was the rookie of the year?
Matt Becker.
Wait a minute. What happened to the guy that was going to make things happen?
I promised we weren't going to talk about this again anymore, but this will be it.
We have to
unless he wins the Forest Wood Cup, then
which he might.
He very well might. But obviously, if you listen to the show for the past 7 months, we've had a little running conversation about Sheldon Collins, 19-year-old kid who's fishing the tour.
I'm just going to ask you one question, dude. Did he have a successful year? Oh.
No.
He did not. Thank you. Now, did he learn a ton about what it takes to be a professional angler and to be successful?
I would assume so, yes.
Yes. All right. But it is part of the progression. And that is the point that I was trying to make, dude. You have to continue to strive for success. And if you're not cashing checks, you're not being successful.
He cashed 2 out of 7. He had a 73-point lead going into the final tour stop of the year. And
what place did he finish at St. Clair?
100 feet. He only had 2 fish on the second day. Now, I don't know what happened with him. He had I think 15, 16 on the first day. But Matt Becker came back. He ended up finishing 32nd overall. Sheldon Collins was 43rd, 44th.
Yeah.
So Matt Becker wins. And I think he had $45,000, $50,000. So overall, Sheldon Collins, although if you look at the first 6 stops, I mean, they're all in the top 100. They're all in the top half. He cashed in back-to-back events. He made it, but no, when it comes down to it, he made $22,000 through that. Now, granted, he's still in the Forest Wood Cup because he did qualify through the Coastal Championship.
Right.
So,
and he
all is not
it.
lost, but he would have double qualified.
Yeah.
And he still might win it, but
it makes me feel very good that you can at least admit that he did not have a successful rookie season on the FLW
from
Tour.
a monetary standpoint.
From an experience standpoint, how can you measure success through experience?
But see, I'm still hesitant to say that because as a 19-year-old in his first year, finishing 48th out of 180 guys is pretty damn impressive. But if you're holding it to your almighty Mark Jeffries' highest standard, then no. So anyway, congratulations to Matt Becker. He got it done.
Job, man.
I don't know what they get for that. They know they get a little trophy, and Rob Newell wrote an article on him. So
all right, man. What else you got?
The streak is over.
What would that be?
For Andy Morgan. He had 12 consecutive years of top 10 finishes, and he finished 24th this year.
Wow. That's impressive.
Still made the cup. I mean, remember the whole thing was, oh my God, he's not even going to make the cup. And he came back, and I think he cashed in the last 4, but he was your pick for the Angler of the Year. He finished 24th, 12 consecutive years. Thrift had a bump a couple years ago. I mean, we were talking a couple years ago, I think Thrift or Morgan had like 9, 10, 11 in a row. Thrift had 8 or 9 in a row.
Yeah.
Now there's like really no streak. And you do top 30, but top 10s.
Yeah.
And you're talking about big fields, super impressive. So Andy Morgan deserves a cold one and to sit back and start a new streak. Now he's got cup made streak still alive and stuff like that.
So what is
years of
let me
top
ask
10.
you this, what is more impressive? That streak at 11. What is more impressive? Or Joey Chestnut eating 74 hot dogs in 10 minutes?
Honestly, I'm going with Andy Morgan on that.
The guy that does the announcing at the Nathan's hot dog contest every year, I would really like to see him do a professional fishing tournament one time. Have you ever watched it?
Yeah, oh yeah.
He is impressive.
He's awesome. You got anything else on that?
On FLW?
Yeah.
No, those were my 2 things.
Best comeback of the year
Which
from a
would be?
guy who got a lot of love going into the year was Todd Castle. Remember all that hype going into the year?
Yeah.
Todd Castle,
Yeah.
Rookie of the Year, no doubt, easy, blow it away. He's going to make it all the cuts. And then he started out 2 top 40 finishes, and then he throws a 159th and a 139th down in consecutive tournaments, comes back with a 32nd, and then had a 71st leading into this one. He makes the cut by 2 points on a smallmouth fishery. We're talking about a Texas guy here, remember?
Yeah.
Southeast Division, Rayburn, Toledo Bend, all that stuff down there. And he finishes 6th at St. Clair and makes the cut by 2 points.
That's pretty cool. That's impressive, especially after the performance that he's displayed after his struggle.
So he cashed
nice
1,
comeback.
2, 3, 4 out of the 7 checks and 1 top 10. 3 of those solid tournaments. But I thought that was super. I mean, he needed it. He needed to finish. I mean, he could have finished 9th or 10th and
not make the cup.
And it would not have been a successful season. Then some crazy stuff happened. Some crazy stuff happened in this one. Obviously, Derek Blake had his truck stolen.
Yeah, that was crazy. I have been there. I have felt his pain.
And they found the thing professionally stripped. It looked like they took it to a dealership and they
Detroit.
took everything
What do you
off.
expect, man?
I know, but you would think that obviously someone who knew what was up with bass boats took everything off.
I totally disagree with that statement.
Well, it was unscrewed. It wasn't ripped out. They took everything of value was gone.
That
it was just a shell of a boat.
Job.
That's what I'm saying. It was a professional
But I'm
job.
not talking about that they exclusively steal trucks and boats.
No.
They knew that, hey, man, we got some value here. We need to take care of this stuff.
So where does that go? What do you do? So now you've got 4 12-inch graphs. You've got a Ultrex trolling motor.
I don't know.
What do you do?
I'm sure
how do you get rid of that
market
stuff?
for that stuff somewhere. I have no idea. They put it on eBay. They're probably stupid. Craigslist, who knows?
That's what I'm saying.
Who knows, man?
All right. But I thought that was crazy.
Yeah, the pictures were insane.
I was hoping that there would be a silver lining to this, but the guy was a hack. He only caught like 18 pounds a day. He finished 106.
Yeah. That's insane.
I was being facetious there.
Did he really?
What
do you have, 36 pounds over 2
No,
days?
I know he had 18 like the first day because I made sure to check. But he finished 106.
Yeah. Did they ever find the truck?
Brian
and Philly wants
I don't
to
know
know
if they found the truck or not, but I think he got the boat back. And then the other crazy thing was there were a number of anglers who really jacked up the Canadian license situation.
Yeah.
And you would think that would be 1A on the priority list to make sure that when you're going to be fishing in another country, you got the right
proper
stuff.
Documentation,
And
yes.
the one that got hurt the most was Josh Douglas.
Yep.
Ironically, I was up in Isle, Minnesota, where he is from, fishing, and he had and I haven't spoken directly to him, but based on the people I tell you, he had a conservation license instead of a sportsman's license, which only allowed him to keep 2 fish in Canada. Well, he went over there and caught 1712 on day 1 in 5 fish and brought him back and weighed in. And then on day 2, based on a couple anglers I was talking, there was like a section over in Canada and Lake St. Clair that the Canadian DNR, I guess is what they're called, were really cracking down on checking people. And they checked pretty much everybody in this quadrant. They got a couple guys. I think they got Boo Woods and stuff, but for having the wrong license. Well, Josh Douglas is over there on day 2. He's got 22 pounds in the box. They check him, and he's got a conservation license, so he can only keep 2. Now I went back, an 8-day conservation license in Canada, Mark. How much do you think an 8-day conservation license is?
$100
for 8 days.
$100.
$31.10. $31.10. How much do you think a sportsman's license? Which
$100.
$54.67. So you're looking at about a $23 difference there. Now keep that number in mind, $23.
Okay.
So what happens is he goes back, he tells Bill Taylor, dude, this is jacked up. I had to throw 3 of my fish back. I've had 22 pounds. Bill Taylor goes, well, it's about to get worse because your day 1 weight's DQ'd. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon on day 2, and you have to throw those other 2 back, and now you can go out and fish on Lake St. Clair where you're licensed to fish. So he's done. Screwed. Weighs in 0. So he doesn't have any. Now, here's where it gets crazy. I went back and I looked. He finished 70th in the points, and he was coming off a 3rd place finish on Kentucky Lake. Okay. All this for the $23 license difference that he made a mistake of.
How much did this mistake cost him?
Dude, you're getting ahead of me here.
I'm just asking.
With 17-12 on day 1, estimated 22 pounds, puts him at 39 pounds. He's on the verge of making the top 30 cut. Obviously solid in. He missed the final spot, Todd Castle spot, by 105 points with 180 people in the tournament. Right. So he was in, way in. So that's $10,000 in this tournament, at least, depending on, he obviously found him over there if he got 22 on that, and $10,000 in the cup, at least. So minimum, a $20,000 mistake over a $23 difference in license fees. Now, obviously, he wasn't trying to be cheap. Who knows? He could have asked for that license. They could have given him the conservation. He might not have checked it and thought he was 100% good.
Yeah.
I would think a guy from Minnesota like that often fishes up in Canada, probably knows the difference. So, he might have gotten screwed at the, what do they have up there? What's their big stores? Walmart or... Not the Tim Hortons. That's a place to eat.
That's the donut place.
There's some place that's like the Walmart of Canada.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Might be Walmart Canada. But anyway, so that one, who had a worse week, Derek Blake or Josh Douglas up there? Probably Derek Blake. Still getting yourself stolen and stripped.
It's the worst feeling. I mean, when you walk out and you're like, where's my truck and boat at? It's totally helpless. You feel violated. Plus, I mean, that's his occupation. That's how he gets everything done. So,
and I got one more thing then.
All right,
for FLW.
And then we're going to take and then we'll take a break
and then transition.
Come back with the Elite Series stuff.
Next week, you're going to be at ICAST.
Yes, I am.
We're going to be running best of shows.
Yeah, I'm gone the whole week.
The first best of show next week is just going to be a rerun of when we had Mark Rose on. When he was in the process of deciding last year, before the year started last year, if he was going to fish the Elite Series or FLW. Remember, he qualified through the Opens. And he went out and he won the first 2 tour events of last year. Did not win the Angler of the Year. Did not have an Angler of the Year on his resume at that time. Then he goes out and he wins his first Angler of the Year this year. Talk about a good decision, Mark.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a fence decision. You had Wesley Strader coming over. You have Jacob Wheeler coming over.
Yeah.
You have a lot of guys coming over.
Yeah. I agree.
You have Mark Daniels Jr. coming over. And Mark Rose, you know what? I'm comfortable over here. I'm going to stay over here. And to this point, just tournament earnings to the good of well over $250,000. Not to mention, General Tire. He's a General Tire pro. General Tires with FLW. He's got the 2 other tour wins. Now he's got the Angler of the Year. Probably the best decision that I've seen in my 11 years of covering this.
Do you ever think that it crosses his mind, though, I know I can compete over on that other side. I know I would have been successful
obviously
over
he can. Look at what Mark Daniels Jr. and Wesley Strader and Jacob Wheeler. I mean, dude,
I don't think he's second guessing his decision at all. But I think that knowing him, I mean, don't you think he could compete over on the other side?
Well, that's not even a question. You don't even have to ask me that. Obviously, he can compete, but the question is, does he want to? There's a number of guys who don't. You know, guys who say they're perfectly happy with their three.
It was a financial decision. Was it a financial decision? I
don't know what type of decision it was. Maybe he liked the people at FLW. Maybe he felt more comfortable.
Loyalty?
Maybe there was some loyalty involved. I mean, we can go back and I really want to listen to that. That's why we're running it as one of the best of. That shows when he was making that decision, what he said then. Because whatever formula he used to stay over there when everyone else was coming over,
bottle that thing up.
The right formula.
Bottle it up.
That's all I got. That's a lot. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No, that's
6.
good
That's
stuff
like 11
there,
things.
That's great job. That's good stuff. All right, we're going to take a break. I got all kinds of stats right here. I've got my report. And then also, by the way, Matthew, when I get back from iCast, the manifesto is going to take place.
Cool. Have you tried this new Bang energy drink?
I'm not into the
energy
energy
It has 0
drinks.
carbs, 0 sugars, 0 calories, 0 artificial colors. It's the dude who made Redline. I've read about the owner and stuff. He's the guy who
you need that.
Always
you
has hot
stuff,
chicks
dude.
drinking this stuff. Anyway, this stuff is amazing.
That's the last thing you need.
They have
in your
cotton
body.
candy. This is blue raz, but they have a cotton candy flavor.
So how does it get its sweetness?
I have no idea. I just
There's got to be some chemical in there, multiple chemicals that is not good for you.
That do a lot of things that aren't good for me, Mark.
All right, I don't want to know. All right, we're going to take a break, come back, talk a little Elite Series. We are back in studio. It's good to be back. We will be right back. Everybody stay tuned.
The most versatile fishing machine on Earth. Unparalleled resolution and clarity, with more agility, lightning speed, and brute strength. HDS Carbon takes rapid response performance and screen technology to an all-new level. Maximized power, maximized visibility. See Structure Scan 3D, new dual chirp sonar, new live network sonar, and more mapping options, all at the same time and faster than ever before.
Pros depend on hydraulic jack plates to get the best out of their boats. Do what they do. Demand Atlas performance. Atlas gets you from the bottom to the top in less than 8 seconds, even with the big 4-strokes. And when you gotta turn right around and get that heavy load back up in rough water, Atlas's innovative design and American-made components will get you there with confidence.
I'm at Depot. Just look for yourself. There's an Atlas jack plate on just about every professional's boat.
The Atlas hydraulic jack plate. You can depend on it.
My rods look different because they are different. Every rod is built by the pros and for the pros. When you pick up a white Duffet fishing rod, you're getting a cutting-edge rod, one that's truly pro-driven with the actions you need for every bait category you fish. I put my name on it. It's my promise to build you a great rod you can count on.
Ducket Fishing, Micro Magic, Macro Magic, or White Ice.
Try them. They work.
When you are on the water, you need performance you can count on. Lowrance has been proving it for more than 60 years. Just ask our pros. HDS Carbon is the choice of champions. The clearest, most visible screens and killer new features like fish reveal and dynamic high visibility contrast ensure you catch more. Now is the ultimate time to get the best deal. Save up to $500 when you buy a qualifying HDS Carbon in the Ultimate Upgrade Sales event before May 31st.
Hey guys, Russ Lane, Bassmaster Elite Series Pro. Man, I am so excited to be joining the AFCO Pro staff. They got some really cool, innovative products to help you have a more enjoyable, comfortable day while you're out there on the water. Really stylish, great functional clothing. You're gonna love it. The thing I'm most excited about though is AFCO has pledged to donate 10% of their total profits back to supporting the conservation of our fisheries, and I am all about supporting a company that's about supporting conservation so that we can enjoy our bass fishing for a long time. Check us out, AFCO.
Jacob Wheeler and Tommy Biffle have a lot in common.
Flat bill.
The perfect shape.
You gotta love some light tackle.
I know I have a spinning rod.
I love my hammer crawl.
Biffle bug.
Rigged
on a hardhead.
Well, they could be twins. Bifflebug, Hammer Crawl, Hardhead, from Gene LaRue.
Let me help you, man.
Let me help that hat.
Whoa, whoa.
There you go. I already look better.
When I talk about Sunline, I think of one word, confidence.
Sunline FX2 is what I use for all of my frogging and flipping.
S61 braid, which braid plays a big part in fishing line.
Shooter, I'm going to use in those close quarter deals like flipping and pitching.
One of my favorite techniques in fishing the tournament trail is to fish offshore ledges.
We have taken the questions out of the equation.
Take my word for it. It works. It works, dude.
All right, we are back on a Tuesday. Is that right? Is today Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday? I've totally lost track.
Today's Thursday, dude. Yesterday was 4th of July.
Okay, I'm good.
Today's Thursday.
I'm good. So a lot going on. Big week next week. We are off to ICAST. Myself and Dave Rush will be checking out some of the new stuff that's going to come out in 2019. Very excited about that. And we're going to be doing some stuff for 2019 also that I am currently working on. Very excited about. That was all part of the world tour that I went on in the month of June. So everybody, a very, very good thing coming for the BZ and the BZ crew for 2019. All right, I want to make this announcement too, Matthew, before we get into all my stats that I have here for the Elite Series. I'm going to make the announcement today. We have the largest one-on-one live challenge that we have booked since we started one-on-one live. It's going to take place in the month of December down in Texas on a power plant lake. Now, have I told you about this?
Yep.
Are you excited, or are you just like, yeah,
no,
whatever,
I am.
dude?
No, I was looking to make sure the Facebook post was up, and that showed up. That's a picture of Dave Bansu from 1994.
He's got the old Storm Lures logo on
I know.
it. That is vintage. He looks like a porn star, actually.
I mean, that was probably right in the middle of his law enforcement career.
Wow.
With the aviators.
That's crazy.
Well, go to Dave Mansu's Facebook page after the show and look at that legendary photo.
Wow.
Anyway, that popped up when I was trying to do it. That's
you interrupted our
BT
announcement
Top
here.
100. Anyway, continue.
Anyway, in December, we are going to have our first $10,000 challenge that's going to take place on a power plant lake down in Texas in December between Jason Reyes, FLW Touring Pro, and Mr. Jeff Crete.
This cracked me up because Reyes sent it in and called out Crete.
Yeah.
But he did it right when the Elites were in Mississippi. Or no, on the Mississippi.
Right.
And Jeff Crete's trying to make a living. And like literally cash Elite Series checks. He's in the tournament, and Jeffries is calling Dave and me, going, "You gotta tell Crete about this. Call Crete. You gotta."
No, I didn't say call Crete.
You gotta tell
show
Crete about this.
I said I sent you a
and
text.
Dave and I are sitting there going, "Dude, the guy's in the middle of an Elite Series tournament." Jeffries like, "I don't care.
It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter."
But he heard about it and he was fired up because he had no idea it was coming.
Oh yeah, and then he sends me a text back. Probably right after he weighed in, because it was in the afternoon, and he's like, I asked him, do you accept this challenge? And his response was, hell yes.
All right, so two FLW Tour Pro Jason Reyes, he's a Texas guy. Jeff Crete, we saw him beat Mike McClellan in the Big Bites one-on-one.
Yeah. So $10,000 challenge going to take place in December down in Texas. Now, we have a couple of Oklahoma challenges that are going to take place in the month of July and August, so we will be letting you know about that.
A couple I'm really excited about, too.
Yeah. One here on Lake Eufaula, and then another one on Lake Murray down in Ardmore. So all kinds of stuff getting ready. And then the other thing is our first show back, when we get back from ICAST, I have another announcement, Matthew, of something that we are going to do here in Oklahoma with Gene LaRue. So I'm very excited about that. It does involve a live competition, but it's got a different flair to it.
And if you're listening to this, you can maybe be a part of it.
Everybody could, if they wanted to. And all right, let's talk Elite Series real with Major League Fishing Championship. History was also made with Ish Monroe and Mark Daniels Jr. Winning back-to-back events. And what did I say a long time on this show about Mark Daniels Jr.?
That he's the real deal.
He is, and I think he proved it this week, that he absolutely is the real deal, both on and off the water. The dude can catch him. The guy is so professional when it comes to promoting his sponsors, so professional in dealing with the media, and I can't say enough good things about Mark Daniels Jr.
I know guys could have probably gotten him on the cheap a couple years ago when he was making the switch and moving over.
Free agency just went up.
Dave Rush was talking about this. There are some people probably in some high positions who, crap, I should have done that when we had the chance. Now it's going to cost us a lot more.
Yeah. I have made the recommendation to a couple of people long before his success on the Elite Series this year. And I actually got a text from one that said, you were right. And he thoroughly hit it out of the ballpark this week. And it's really going to be interesting to see how his career develops. But the fact that you had two minority anglers, two African-American anglers, win back-to-back events says so much about this game. And it was neat that Ish sent Mark Daniels a text, congratulating him. And when you go back to the Mississippi win with Ish really, really needed that. He was not having his greatest performance from an Elite Series
standpoint. I got a story coming out with him next week about what that win meant and then going into ICAST.
Yeah.
But along those lines, so who's my favorite guys to follow? The Rip and Lips, the Protect Your Waters, the Protect Your Waters crew out there in California on the yaks, on the kayaks.
We saw them at the Classic last year. Remember?
If you got to follow these. It's
in
awesome.
the airport. They were in the airport.
He takes his kayak to the gas station and then he goes, "Man, kayaks don't need gas." And he heads to the lake.
I don't get
that.
But
so he was wearing afterwards. He put on his Mark Daniels Jr. jersey,
out where everybody stands via the earnings route. All right. And then the other one is I did not include Jordan Lee's $300,000 for the Classic win in this. This is just the regular Elite Series events. Obviously, with his $300,000, he would be at the top. So it is only the Elite Series events from this year. And at the top the earnings list is Wesley Strader with $135,000.
He's pumping that money back into his clothing line. Have you seen his new clothing
I have not.
line?
No, I haven't.
He's got an entirely new clothing line.
Really? Who's it with? Do you know
it's
who
like
it's
his
with?
own. It's like just W.
What is it? Shirts?
Wesley.
Shorts?
Shirts, hats, shorts, everything you want.
Huh.
He's got the old Wesley W on there.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
The man, you know what? That guy wears a lot of pastels. I've never noticed that before, but he's a big fan of pastels.
I've only seen him in tournament
like kind of
jerseys.
the peach colors,
could you have
aqua colors.
Could you have a pastel colored supplemented jersey?
Yeah, you could, but he's a big fan of the pastels. Anyway, that's just a side note. Continue.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
He just seems to get kind of like redneck from Tennessee.
He is not. So then you have really the top 7 guys are the guys that won. What I like to look at is who is atop the leaderboard in earnings without a W, and that would be Jacob Wheeler at $81,000 with a 103rd finish at the Sabine River.
Mm-hmm.
And a 95th place finish.
Yeah, but he also
at
has
Lake
a
Martin.
second, a fifth, a seventh, a 14th.
He's lights out, man. He's had 3 top 15, 4
Holy
top
cow,
15s.
He's tanked twice this year.
Yeah.
I mean, like, bad tanked.
Yeah.
And he still got a shot at Angler of the Year.
Yeah, that's insane. We
I didn't realize he tanked twice. I knew he tanked once.
Yeah, we have noted last year.
But remember the Sabine, he got stuck.
Yeah, got stuck on a sandbar and
self-reported.
Was having a decent
And Lake
tournament
Martin,
down
I
there.
still stand by the fact that those young, hungry guys, as much as they want to say they're focusing on the year, they're focused on the Classic.
Yeah.
Which he had a good Classic.
Yeah. So let's see here. Wheeler at the top, and then you have Bradley Roy, who's having a tremendous season. And Bradley has the characteristic of being only one of 2 anglers to do what, Matthew?
See, I disagree with your stat here, but go ahead.
Having cashed a check in every single event.
Everybody got paid at Travis. They got They paid $5,500, and then Bass gives them a check for $3,500 back.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. So, but he didn't cash a check. He finished 73rd.
I
There's
get it.
one angler who's
And that would
cashed
be-
an actual check.
Finished 50th or higher in every single event.
Yeah. Everybody's cashed a check. I mean, first time in history, everybody cashes a check. It's the Bass
we've talked
Fest. They
about
get
that.
paid. It
I
doesn't
know.
count.
We've
there
talked
should be
about
a
that.
red or a pink box around that 73rd for Bradley Roy.
Yeah.
Bertrand's the only guy.
Yeah. One guy. Now, I was looking at this list trying to see, okay, if you threw out one event, how many guys would have that stat? And once again, we got the Travis thing where they've cashed in 6 out of 7.
Yeah, Chapman would have it because he just missed at Oahe.
Yeah. Rojas, he finished 51st at Kentucky Lake.
Yeah, he also finished 104th at Travis.
But once again, there is that Travis thing showing up. But just an outstanding effort by Mr. Bertrand, and should be recognized for his accomplishment. You go this deep into the season. The other thing is it shows everybody, and I think the vast majority of fans already realize this, it is majorly difficult to capture and earn a check in every single event.
Right, and you're getting to the point of the year too, where they say a win in a win in August is the same as a win in September as far as point wise in baseball. But at Oahe, you're talking a 300,000+ acre fishery. They can run 100 miles. A lot of guys averaged 150-mile round trip.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of guys who were in the Angler of the Year race who tanked. Aaron Martin's 88th, Cliff Pace 83rd, Kevin Van Dam 63rd, Skeet Reese 77th, Gerald Spohr 71st, Vincent 86th. There were a number of guys who really screwed their Angler of the Year chances at Oahe.
No, you're right.
And if you look at the Angler of the Year standings, the top 10 in the Angler of the Year standings after Lake Oahe, there's only one angler in the top 10 who has an Angler of the Year title, and that would be Brent Chapman, and he's in 3rd, and he lost it over the past couple weeks. He was leading it going into it, but before this, you had Aaron in the mix and Skeet in the mix and Kevin in the mix. Now they can possibly still get back into it, but you're seeing a lot of fresh faces up there with Roy and Justin Lucas, Bertrand, Odd Defo, Ashley, Rojas still has a chance at it, Porosnik, Perch, and Wheeler. All in the top 10.
I'm with you.
So this is one more thing, and then I'll let you get back to it, is this is a year of grueling tournaments and long runs. Agreed?
Agreed.
You've got Sabine River. You had Kentucky Lake, long runs. Mississippi, long runs. Oahe, long runs. No practice as far as, no waypoints and all that stuff. So you've got a lot of on the water. You've got a lot of rough water this year, too. A lot of gnarly water, props, lower units. And I think you're seeing this young group of talented guys who have, the freedom, because, a lot of them are able to be on the road. They don't have kids yet.
Right.
They're hungry because they're young. They just moved over, and they have the stamina. You know, that beats you up on those back-to-backs and 4 and 5 footers and a long practice and all that.
Probably some of the most brutal back-to-back events in the history of the Elite Series, what took place. And then throw in the Sabine River. They only had a week off.
Right.
So it was 3 and 4
3
weeks.
out of 4. And you look at it, and Rojas and Chapman are the old men of the group. I mean, they are. You've got Bradley Roy's in his 20s, Justin Lucas, Josh Bertrand's in his 20s, Defoe's early 30s, Casey Ashley early 30s, Jacob Wheeler still in his 20s. The Golden Ram never ages. He just has the gold flowing locks there in Clifford Perch.
Yeah.
And then Perosnik, who is shockingly athletic and has endurance. You watch that man
He's a wrestler
on the front deck of a boat.
Dude, he grappled.
He is nimble.
He grappled.
I'm not exaggerating.
He was a state champ in
Perosnik, not Polonic.
Oh. My bad. Sorry.
Perosnik might have been the state champ too.
He might have been.
Perosnik has
I thought you said Polonic.
Athleticism and endurance. Sneaky good.
Huh. All right.
But yeah, I mean you wouldn't think that.
All right,
Chapman and Rojas, the old men in the top 10.
You're right. All right, 7 events
in their 40s.
7 events in. Let's throw out Travis. So let's just call it 6 because everybody got paid in Travis.
Why can't you just include Travis and have a top 50 as counting it? That's what I don't understand.
I
Why
could do
you're
that.
getting
I'll do
stuck
that.
as a technicality
That's a good idea because everybody technically got paid. You still have 2 guys at the bottom that got $3,500. They haven't cashed a check in any event, but they did get $3,500. Good suggestion. I'm gonna do that. So good idea. All right, real quick, let's put the threshold. You tell me if you agree with this. Let's put the threshold at the season, and I'm going very, very conservative. The break even $75,000. You agree with that? Entry fees $50,000.
Yeah, $75,000.
Okay, so as of right now, you have 12 guys that are either broken even or above. 12 out of 107 now. With
right, and you don't. I mean, technically, 81,000 is Wheeler, who's the highest without winning a tournament.
Right.
If you have not won a tournament, and
there's 3 guys,
and you have no, but they're not. They're at 77, 78, and 81. That doesn't count. That's break even.
That's break even.
That's what I'm saying. If you haven't won a tournament by the time it's all said and done, and I mean, if you're camping and eating beanie weenies, I think you can get it done for 60. I really do.
$10,000. You still have to pay for camping spaces and stuff.
Yeah, but not
Your
as much.
Your fuel cost is enormously more, though.
60. This was a sucky year for fuel too.
Bad. By the way, they jacked up the price, didn't they?
But I think you can get it
South
done
Dakota.
But still, that
Did they
being
not
said,
jack up the price?
I don't know if they jacked it up. It was
$3 a gallon.
Dave and I had a long drive through nothing,
Yeah.
and we estimated that give 40% of the field. I'll get back. I'm way off on a tangent here. Give 40% of the field that went and practiced it on Oahe for 3 days, 1 tank of gas while you're in Oahe for the tournament, because a lot of guys trailered to all these long launch ramps. 30 gallons of gas, 30 to 40 gallons of gas a day, 5.5 days. Full field, because you have 3 days of practice. We'll say 2.5, 3 days of tournaments, because only half make it. At $3 a gallon, add a little bit more for the diesel for the trucks that most of them have, and the non-ethanol gas. And that town, just from this tournament, brought in over $100,000 just in fuel alone to like the 6 gas stations in the town.
Do they want those guys coming back? Absolutely. All right. So anyway.
So yeah, if you don't win and you don't have sponsors and stuff. But that number will continue to climb.
With the 3 remaining
there
events,
will be a bunch of guys who, because you also have to remember the top 50 pay out in Angler of the Year. So that's at least another $12,000 for all of them.
Is that how much it is?
Yeah.
I thought it was 10.
No, I think, 10, 12, tomatoes.
All right.
So then there'll be a bunch who get that. Then there's still 2 events left that they can make money in, 2 regular season events.
Right.
I believe there's the Angler of the Year. Then they have a chance to make money on that.
And
so
the
everybody
classic
will
money
get paid.
that rolls
So then
over.
another 10,000. So by the end it's doable, but you're pushing it to the end and to the point where you break even.
I wanted to look real quick. Hang on. What do we usually use? Do we use 35 in the Angler of the Year standings for a classic berth?
It's like 39. Usually,
I know with the
38,
double
39.
qualifiers, sometimes
I think
it was
different.
38.
They went a little bit further down this year. I'm not exactly sure how they're doing the Open.
But there's some big names that, like you mentioned,
are right on the verge.
Yeah. Edwin.
Mm-hmm.
Who else we got? Randy Howell, Boyd Duckett. Man, Fred has really struggled. He really struggled on that swing.
Mm-hmm.
He's out of it. Alton Jones.
Roy
Steve
Hawks
Kennedy.
in 41st after the start that he had, a second and third place. Randall Tharp.
McClellan.
Oh, you could just name everybody technically, but
Even with the win now, Ish has dropped all the way down to 76.
Mm-hmm.
No winning, you're in. So they got 3 events. Obviously, you want to try and get in that top 50 so you can fish the final event, but a lot of names. And the Chesapeake is going to be tricky, man. A lot of those people that are not familiar with tidal waters, they're going to be challenged.
Bigger surprise. Bradley Roy leading the Angler of the Year race, or Jake Whitaker leading the Rookie of the Year race by 50 points.
One more time.
Bradley Roy leading the Angler of the Year race.
Okay.
Or Jake Whitaker leading the Rookie of the Year race by 50 points. You have to add the by 50 points in there.
The Whitaker.
Yeah, okay, I agree.
You agree?
Totally.
I mean, Bradley's having a tremendous season, but he's been out there a while now.
True.
And I think Whitaker's kind of coming out from his rookie season, and nobody really had him on the radar.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Jake Whitaker, college angler, wins a national championship on Chattooga, which is where the Angler of the Year championship is.
Mm-hmm.
Loves throwing a frog.
Georgia? Is that right?
Yeah. Loves throwing a frog. Carolina's fisherman. Young guy. His parents are out there with him for a lot of the events and stuff backstage. Thrilled, elated to cash checks. You know, he cashed that first one, knocked Rojas out at Grand. You couldn't wipe the smile off of Whitaker's face. He was so happy to be fishing. He hasn't missed a cut since then.
Yeah.
How does a guy like that smoke Roy Hawk, who's been doing it for forever and has a U.S. Open? Ray Hanselman, who went through Hanselmania, won every single tournament in a division of the Costas.
Mm-hmm.
How does that happen?
You need to get him on the show.
Caleb Summerall, who's the Bass Nation National Championship, a guy down at Toledo Bend now, has been doing it for forever.
Yeah.
Hunter Shryock, who's been fishing the Opens for 6-8 years, I mean, has really set himself up for this. I mean, you can go down the list, but how does Jake Whitaker? I'm not taking anything away from Jake Whitaker. I'm asking, in your opinion, specifically Roy Hawk and Ray Hanselman, how does Jake Whitaker, whose national experience is far less, winning experience far less established, put in such an impressive performance and gain such an advantage over two guys who are grizzled veterans with massive wins on their resume?
I don't know.
We see it all the time, but I'm just asking what your thoughts are on that.
Maybe he's fishing extremely loose. You know, that there's not a lot of pressure there. Who knows what his situation from a financial perspective is?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the rookies that come out, they've got that pressure of having to perform in order to keep their career going and to put food on the table. Maybe that's not the situation with him. I always try and look at that perspective first from a performance standpoint, because every time that I've seen him, he's loose, man. He is really fishing loose. Doesn't look stressed out at all. And maybe go back and look at his history as far as how he performed, if he performed on the lower tier.
Yeah, he kicked
events.
everyone's butt in college. But, I mean, he started out 74th and 93rd.
Yeah.
And then he finishes 40 or actually it was at Kentucky Lake, I think, that he knocked Rojas out, not Grand. I'm going to go back and...
Okay.
But he finished 48th at Kentucky Lake, and then he goes 48th, 21st, 5th, 39th, 23rd. And he does it at an unknown Lake Travis that no one had been to.
Yeah.
Sabine River, where the water fluctuated 10 feet. Kentucky Lake, where it dropped 8 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Sabine River, where it fluctuated 10 feet. Not the Sabina didn't there. The Mississippi River fluctuated 10 feet. Sorry. And then Lake Oahe, which was an unknown.
I'm going to say this. Maybe it's
so you
because,
talk about adjustments?
Well, listen, though. You may have a situation there. You did have a situation where historically he had no history.
Right.
And with everything that's changing, throw in the fact that the decisions that he made.
Right, but what I'm saying is other
though.
people didn't have history either. He flat out fished them. Because people didn't have history on Oahe.
That's what I'm saying.
Didn't have
it was about the decisions.
Right, but you were
that
saying that he didn't have the history was the advantage that the other guys did, and they were fishing history, but there was no history on Travis. There was no history on Travis. There was no history on Oahe. They'd never been to Kentucky that time of the year. The Mississippi is totally different than it was.
But the guys that you mentioned had history on Travis. The only one that they didn't have history on was Oahe.
I don't think they had a lot of history on Travis.
Yes. I mean, there's been a lot of events.
There's been a couple FLWs. That's it.
There's been other events that have taken place. Anyway, they spent some time practicing. Okay. Who knows? I'm agreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing that he just flat out outfished everybody.
Right. That's what I was trying to say.
And I'm thinking, and I'm just speculating here, but I think it has to do with that old thing that we talk about, that I talk about all the time, the HFA and everything that goes with that, the history on the body of the water. Obviously, the decisions that he made is the reason that he went to the bank on Monday.
So your life depends on it. 15-pound limit. You can either ride Jake Whitaker or Roy Hawk right now.
Right now?
Who are you taking?
I'm taking Whitaker. Yes.
All right.
Let's see. Hey, let's see how the two guys perform in these next two events.
Yeah, they'll be big.
Yeah.
You're dealing with tide, dealing with grass, long runs, getting down into nut cutting time.
Yeah, the whole situation that's going to take place at the St. Lawrence, too. All right, man. We have kind of went over, but that's good from the perspective of trying to catch up, and we have no time limit. All right, a couple of questions on the instant feedback. Tyler in College Station wants to know, what do you think the financial impact of live is, and do you have any ideas on the numbers of views of each event? Who knows? But I will give FLW kudos. Like I said, they were putting it on a simul stream on YouTube Live, and you can see how many people are watching, and it was less than 1,000.
Multiple times this year, following a day 2, 3, or 4 weigh-in, I've been talking with a top 5 finishing angler or interviewing them, and they've had to take a phone call, which they don't do. Very, these guys are professionals. They're working with the media. You know who that phone call was from? It was from their title sponsor, elated that they were able to watch them live all day long. And that they had it, I've heard guys have it on in the office. The entire office of that title sponsor stops and watches live all day. That's where the economic impact is.
Why do you think we're going to multiple live formats, Matthew?
That's what I'm saying.
That's what people want.
But that was the question that he asked was...
as far as the impact?
Yeah, it has a big impact on the sponsor to angler relationship.
It also has a big impact on what Bass and FLW are charging for exposure in the live format.
Mm-hmm.
And, the quicker that the technology increases, and I'm going to make this comparison once again, the PBA has done a masterful job, the Professional Bowlers Association, of generating revenue streams from doing live coverage while the qualifying is taking place, to where you actually have the capability of watching specific bowlers that you're fans of during their qualifying. When we get to the point that when these events take place where you have a live camera in every single boat and you're able to watch whoever you want, that will be the pinnacle of the game from a fan
But right now, these guys are treating a top 4 or top 5 after day 3 like they've won the damn tournament.
It has more value than the television show.
Like they've won the tournament.
Yeah.
I mean...
It's that critical from a revenue generation standpoint, from a sponsorship standpoint, from an exposure standpoint, obviously, to be in one of those 4 cameras. FLW or Bass, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, huge impact. I think that's about it, Matthew. I I don't have anything else. All right, real quick, I want to summarize what's going to take place over the next 2 weeks.
Because I don't know. I really don't.
Next week, we're in ICAST. Dave and I will be there the entire week. Matt will be putting together 2 best of shows. When we come back, we have a week before the Chesapeake. Actually, I was looking at it here.
How about this? How about one best of show's the one with Mark Rose, the other one's with Mark Daniels Jr. from last year.
Yeah, those
would be 2 good ones.
All right, the week of the 16th through the 20th, we will have 2 shows that week. We will go on Tuesday and Thursday. On Tuesday, I want you to try and get Whitaker. See if you can get him that day, either Tuesday or Thursday.
July 16th.
No, 17th and 19th.
Okay.
All right, so that will be our return. Obviously, I'll have a wrap-up from my thoughts at ICAST from the previous week. And then on the 19th, I would like to get MDJ back on. Let's get him back on if we can. And here's the other thing. If you have any suggestions for guests coming up here in the month of September, August, September, and October, just send Matt or myself an email, matt@basshound.com, mark@basshound.com, on some of the suggestions that you would like to get on from a guest standpoint, and then we'll go from there. All right? That's kind of the plan. You good with that, Matthew?
Yep. See, this just gets screwed when you've got back-to-back tournaments and other tournaments on top of other tournaments. We didn't get to talk about Ish at all.
It's the worst, winning the front end of a back-to-back.
I mean, I feel bad for the guy. He wins on a frog. Give him a standalone week so we can sit there and talk about the glory of the frog bites and the slop and the duckweed, the decision making.
A lot of requests coming in for a frog battle. Battle of the Frog guys. You think Ish and Rojas would be up for that?
With those 2 guys, you'd have to show them some money. They ain't just
let
going to
them
do
play.
it for the
Let them play for their own
game.
money, man. If their frog is that badass,
I think those 2 have appearance fees, Mark. That's what I was going with at that. I think those 2 have appearance fees.
If you're that good, showcase what you got. Pony up the cash and get after it. I'm actually going to have a chat with them at ICAST about it, so we'll see what happens. All right, man. Hope everybody had a good 4th yesterday. It's good to be back in studio. Sorry, we got to go to the best of because of ICAST next week, but we will be back on July 17th, hopefully, with Mr. Whitaker. See what he has to say about his performances going into the Chesapeake. All right, everybody be safe. Get out. Try to stay cool. Nice weather here in Oklahoma for July.
I wore a hoodie up in Minnesota.
Very, very nice. All right, everybody be safe. We will talk to you on July 17th.